welcome back to the Ron Talks Tabletop Podcast, Super Show Sunday. As you're listening to this, it is Father's Day, so if that applies to you, happy Father's Day. For those of you that celebrate, I have some special guests here on the podcast today to talk about a Super Show topic that I am interested in, and hopefully you are too. So let's introduce these guys. So, who are you, and what is your involvement in the Super Show community?
Well, hi there, everybody. It's your boy, Chugonomics, your Deep South and Florida general manager, as well as the owner of SRG PC.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Aaron, otherwise known as Aaron64 Arcade Addict Aaron. I am one of the creators of SRG PC, and as for my involvement in the Super Show community beyond that, I do a lot of math for people. I help me and Dom together, me and Chugonomics here. We create all of the wackiest and most aggro things people can see and really open up the roadway for very unique deck builds.
All right. Well, that's not on my list of questions, but we'll talk about that a little bit here. But first, before we get into all that, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to come on my podcast and be interviewed and talk about SRG PC and other topics. I want to know before we get into the SRG PC stuff, when and how did you get into Super Show? Chucky, why don't you go first?
I believe that I started playing around the 2018 Royal Rumble, if I'm recalling correctly. We were looking to find a place to watch it, and we found House Rules. Once we got there, Savoy sat us down, and I've been playing ever since.
Who's Savoy? Just Chucky, who's Savoy?
Savoy is the owner of House Rules Gaming.
Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
And then as for me, so I never really knew about House Rules. I knew Chugonomics long before SRG. And basically whenever they would go to play SRG on like wrestling like pay-per-view nights, I would just go along to watch the wrestling pay-per-view with everyone. And then one night I decided, hey, why don't I learn the game? And that's basically when I started playing and why I started playing.
Cool. You were talking about a play style that you guys have come to be known for down there in Florida, at least a subset of the play group. Let's talk about that a little bit. What is that play style, and what's the general philosophy?
Florida aggro, and the philosophy is what's a stop? You wanna explain that a bit more in depth, Chugonomics?
Florida aggro sort of embodies a quick style of gameplay. We aim to build mathematically viable decks. We want to make sure that we have an active game-stated play each turn, not just sitting on like the passive berry and have a bunch of stops in hand. We want to always be doing something to try and push initiative forward.
Yeah, it's a really exciting style. I got to witness it firsthand when I visited Orlando for the big event that you guys hosted down there for the Royal Rumble, which was a whole ton of fun.
Sunshine was great.
Yeah, Sunshine SmackDown. It's a wild style. I mean, it's not I would say the typical style of play for Super Show, as I've come to learn it, but it's really exciting, and it's going to be quick, one way or the other.
Yep.
It's really cool. I know that you, Chuggy, and Aaron, and some of you folks down there are known for that Florida aggro style of play, as they call it. Some folks are big fans of that. But the main reason why I asked you to come on the podcast today is to talk about a website that is a very powerful, very useful resource in the Super Show community called the SRG Performance Center. Why don't you tell me what is the SRG Performance Center and how did it come about?
SRG PC is the game's leading database. It was spawned after Powerbomb Online went defunct. Kiara, Aaron, and I created it because we were kind of getting upset at how many unwritten interaction rules were in the game at the time. And we realized that this would be a valuable resource for the entire community to have. And we try to exist to keep every player honest.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I was just gonna basically follow up on that and say like, there used to be a very bare bones similar site, and when it disappeared, we kind of figured like if someone else isn't gonna replace it, we might as well do it,
It's been a godsend for me. I've been playing for 11 months now, and I mean that's the way that I'm learning the game. And I've learned a lot about the interactions and the general flow of play. Even though it's not the official website, it's highly regarded even amongst the ownership group as being a valuable resource. And I know that Steve and the crew help you folks get info into it and everything like that. People love your website. I mean, you guys just don't have rules, clarifications, and everything like that. The database has, I don't know, how many cards do you guys
Oh
think is in
God.
the database?
A
Vamp for
lot.
a little bit, Aaron, and I'll go find the exact number.
Yeah, quite a bit. Soon to be more.
20 times 130.
Okay.
That'd
Uh,
be at least
2,600.
2,600 pages, of which there may be multiple cards on those pages. So, altogether, well over 5,000 cards, I would call it. Once you start including like characters and their finishes and everything.
That's a lot of that's a whole lot. How
Yeesh.
long is it? How long has the PC been up and running?
That is also a very easy question to answer.
Did we
Our
search up
very
kick?
first page was what? Punch?
Yeah, punch or kick.
Punch was published on 2020. Yeah. We started, the website
October
officially
2020.
launched October 13th, 2020.
Yep.
Okay, you're coming up on 4 years here. That's impressive.
It's been a long 4 years.
I bet. You decided to create SRG PC because another website disappeared and you took the initiative to replace it, and it's a fantastic resource. What are your respective roles for the site?
Uh, I do a nice chunk of the grunt work. I mainly write out pages and align any prior or new rulings onto said pages. I also manage like the blog aspect of the PC. It's not as active these days, but I still run through it. And then I also am in active talks with the rules roundtable and the creators and managers of the game. I do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, what about you, Aaron?
Yeah, so I do probably a bit more behind the scenes stuff. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, so yeah, I'll make posts and stuff, like card pages and stuff, like Chugonomics here does. But I mainly handle the technical aspect of things. I do all like whenever there's custom programming that needs to be done, or any sort of new engine, or any sort of new anything. I'm the one who makes it for the website. I'm the one who made the current search engine that we use for the website. Anytime we need anything new, I put it together.
So, Aaron, what is that process like for putting in, the new cards and what have you? Because I know, like, monthly there are new cards coming out, and you folks can't keep up with everything all the time.
Yeah, so the process itself is just it's very tedious. But it's something we're willing to do. And as for, lagging behind, there's like a few number of things that could go into that, mainly one thing if you wanted to go more into depth about that. Yeah, Chugonomics can elaborate for us.
So our process usually begins at understanding a card exists.
Yeah.
Once we know that, we can actively search for it. But once it's that part, it's okay. We need the image. We need to get the image processed. We need it watermarked. We need to
And
make
I
the page. We need to make the text. We need to check the rules. And then we need to line it up manually on our site. There's a lot. It is a very tedious process. It's not so hard of a process. It just takes man hours that are a little hard to find.
Yeah, that also does remind me of another thing I do. I usually do nowadays also the image processing and watermarking. And like he says, there's a lot of stuff that's released. And we have to understand that a card exists, but there's a lot of, what's the term for it? Ninja releases. So releases we don't know even exist until like we see a post about it or someone tells us about it.
Yeah, Mr. Rays are our worst nightmares.
Mr. Ray's mystery box is the bane of our existence.
Oh, wow. I know, for example, there's a new Swaggy D competitor that I just found out about.
Thankfully, Swaggy sent me those images before they were even in the boxes. But
Exactly.
stuff like the Grumpy Admiral, the One Piece Admiral one, I didn't know that existed, and I had just had a meeting with Steve the day before.
Yeah, and or like Bathtub Booker. I didn't know about that either.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you met with Steve. Is that part of your process? Like how?
At the time, it wasn't. This is a very new thing that we're trying to get into, getting with meetings with Steve to try and get these directly. It's just a little easier to get them from him.
Yeah, I bet.
But and that adds another layer of having to like find the time between both of our schedules to find an image dump.
Yeah.
Right. There's got to be an easier way for him just to pass on
I
images.
wish, but there's a lot of lines that need to be drawn before something goes live.
Right. Okay. Yeah, yeah. There might be stuff that he has that isn't technically released yet, but may let you know. Yeah. Sounds like a lot.
It's a lot, but we try to do what we can when we find the time. We currently have a lot of the stuff prepped. Like most of the grain gathering stuff is prepped. It's just needs the tedious stuff of writing it out, getting it on there.
Got it. And this is volunteer work. It's not like anybody's paying your salary for this.
Correct.
That being said, people are welcome to donate to us anytime they want, if they so choose to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hit that up at the end of this thing. I had a question about the blog aspect of it. I know there were a few key articles that helped me start to wrap my head around the game, like the Chad 15 stop and the Florida Aggro. Reading
The
both
Manic
of those.
Mind series.
The Manic Mind, yeah. It was really great for me to start to understand, like, oh, wait, okay, so there's potentially stops at these 15 slots, but I don't necessarily have to play 15 stops. And then sometimes you may have an 8 on a skill, and the card pool says that more often than not, that's going to be a dead stop anyway.
I love the Manic Mind series. It lets me channel some of my inner chaos and just like, hey, there are other ways to play this game, and you should give it a try,
Yeah, and I think one of the funniest things about the Manic Minded Chuggy is, if I recall correctly, the actual lore of the Manic Minded Chuggy is one day Chuggy was super exhausted and he couldn't think entirely straight, so his first thing is, I'm gonna write an article. So he wrote the Manic Mind of Chuggy.
It was quite literally, the first one was a heat-induced rant about Florida Aggro.
Yes, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. So, guys, what are some of the other challenges in getting the website updated? We talked about knowing that cards exist, the tedious nature of entering the cards. Is there anything else that we hadn't touched on as far as that stuff is concerned?
Honestly, the bulk of it. The main reason is just knowing the cards exist and ninja releases. Other than that, it's really just finding the time.
Yeah, outside of that, there's a lot of backdoor stuff that's somewhat problematic. Like sometimes our Elementor coding just decides to break.
And then I gotta fix it. But
but sometimes it breaks really bad.
Okay.
So it's a lot of also running back on old posts to make sure we didn't accidentally break something.
Yeah.
Okay. So, guys, what do you think is next for you folks and for the website?
Our current goal is to get the Grand Gathering batch done. We've got pretty much everything there set up to be, started to work on. Outside of that, it's just hitting consistent release windows, and hopefully, these meetings help out a little bit more. On the side, I've also got the museum up and running, and I'm hoping to get that running and full.
Yeah, and as for what I might do, right now got the advanced search engine for singles competitors up. Might get the Tornado and Trios version of that up sometime soon. And then I might also make a deck builder for the website that just automatically updates with the cards whenever, like the available cards for the deck builder whenever we add cards to the site.
Cool. That's great. And I can't wait for you guys to get the Grand Gathering cards up in the database, as I'll see what I am missing.
Yeah, we hate that we're so far behind on it. It's just a matter of, we gotta have like a day or two to work on them.
I understand that. I know they were advertising all these releases prior to Grand Gathering, and then you get there, and it's like there's other cards.
Exactly. So
Yeah, we add that to the Grand Gathering batch, essentially.
yeah, yeah,
So the longer we wait, we do gotta get more, but at least it's okay. That's the batch. This is all we're doing in this batch.
Right.
yeah, because we did a really big update early in the year, like a really big update, and right when we finished it, we were told, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna release all of these cards at Grand Gathering." And I'm like, "Cool."
That's the next thing we do. We've finished this batch. We need a week or two.
Yep.
Of course. And then when you do that, that'll be something else. That's what it seems like.
Exactly.
Never a dull moment. All right, guys, before we wrap this up, I have a question I'd like to ask all the folks that come on my podcast. And we'll answer this, Chucky, first. What is something interesting about you that people may not know about?
Well, a little project Aaron and I have been working on behind the scenes is we've been working on a TTRPG system.
Okay.
Hopefully we find more time to work on that and flesh it out for a playtest in the future.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about that? I'm big on RPGs.
I can tell you it's very
Different.
very Roger Rabbit-esque.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about all I can reveal at the moment, though.
At least, on air,
Yes.
And as for me, something interesting that people may not know about me. I'm pretty much an open book. Most people know like everything that need to know about me, but I guess something kind of random that might be interesting that people might not know about me is I used to do inline trick rollerblading. So like I used to do like rollerblading and like half pipes and a bunch of other stuff and do like trick skating that way.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Chuckonomics didn't even know that, and he's been my best friend for well over a decade. Yeah. So I used to do that. That's pretty cool.
See, that's why I'd like to ask this question. Like, I certainly didn't know because, I just met you, but that's cool. That's cool. So, guys, how can folks find you guys, and how can folks help out with support of the SRG PC?
Yeah, so you can find us at srgpc.net. And the way that anyone can help us if they choose to is there's a big donate button right under the logo. And when you click that, it brings them to our Coffee page where people can choose to donate to us if they choose. It's not required, but it's appreciated. And we appreciate all support.
We can also be found on our Discord server. That link is floating around somewhere. And twitch.tv/SRGPC whenever we stream.
Correct.
All right. Thank you once again for being on the podcast. I super appreciate it. I learned some interesting things. This is the Ron Talks Tabletop Podcast, Super Show Sunday. And until next time, see you later.
Bye, man.